And that whole mission of changing the way the world perceives sales is something that geeks are really passionate about, and I'm hugely passionate about because I believe that sales is a life skill. It's not just a career; it's more than that. As soon as you leave school and you fill your first CV out, you have to sell yourself. You become a captain of a football team, soccer team. You have to motivate people. You have to sell your ideas. You have to negotiate out different positions. You have to lead teams. All of those things require a host of skills you learn as a salesperson. So for me, it's a life skill. It's something that people should realise that everybody needs to do. And I always use a bit of a quirk and a joke in our sales clubs, but it's true. I've had 32 years or something in sales in my career. I'm now married. I have a 4-year-old and 8-year-old, and I sell more at home than I do in my work life
Yeah.
every single day. And I'm really
That's
bad at it.
amazing.
Trying to persuade my 4-year-old to wear the clothes that I wanted to wear rather than that she wants to wear. I'm rubbish.
Oh, that's great. Peter, when I think about what's going on in Scotland right now, you guys are not only you, but you got a team. From the day you started 2 or 4 plus years ago to where you're at now. It wasn't all great. It wasn't all roses. It didn't all work from day one. What were some of the scary times, and what were some of the breakthrough times?
Um, I always get emotional when I start talking about these things because it's always difficult when you start to sort of reflect on the bad times during the journey and the successes because you can't juggle two really raw emotions at the same time, pride and then fear. And
Or
sometimes bolting those two things together is a dangerous place to be. But I suppose there's huge amounts of luck, huge amounts of bloody determination and hard work. And I think one of the biggest skills that I learned was being able to reflect and change. And I'd gone through a situation of not really considering geek properly when I joined. Probably didn't really understand what it was going to be like when I started, and very quickly, and excuse the language, but having a proper oh shit moment of I have made the biggest mistake of my life. But I was in it, so I sold as hard as I could because it was my comfort zone. It was just sell, 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 and sell hard. Probably after about 6 months, I was at full capacity. I'd maxed out my workload, but I'd oversold to the wrong clients. Nobody valued what I did. I didn't really know what I did. I was earning decent money, but life was bloody miserable. At the same time, it was coming up to Christmas. I had a few job offers. I was ready to leave. And I had a job offer that I was going to sign, but I didn't sign it because there was this niggle in my back of mind. I was like, I've not done the sales geek stuff right, and I wasn't willing to kind of give up without giving it a proper chance. Um, but that enabled me to have that watershed moment to reflect what I did, and I realised I'd oversold. I was in the wrong rooms. I was doing. We were talking about beforehand. We're really good at standing as a geek inside people's business and telling them what's wrong with their business. But sometimes we're really bad at looking at our own business and understanding what the problems and faults in our own business were. So that was one of those watershed moments. I decided I need to be in different rooms. I need to sell differently. I need to do different things. And then a bit of luck helped that Dave, my now business partner, joined a couple of months after that. So suddenly became two of us in Scotland rather than one. So I started to feel more of a community around me. I wasn't on my own anymore. And that was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
it's exploded.